Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we're going to do the top 5 Chanel perfumes for the month of May. So, I mean, can we talk? This is just this background. Okay, AI generated. I prompted Bubbles to generate this background. Listen. This background is connected to the top 5 Chanel perfumes for the month of May. Believe it or not, this is going to have implications in the selection. Or let's just say you're going to notice the fragrances captured inside of the background. So let's see if you can guess ahead of time already. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new to my channel, subscribe. If you haven't already, push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today. Gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together there as well for extra perks. What can I say? Thumb up the video. Let's get to it. So the first one for May is a floral beauty, an abstraction of a floral beauty. And it is Chanel number 5, but it is Chanel number 5 in the second favorite concentration, to me at least, also from the 20s. Came out a little bit shorter after, like a little bit after the Parfum of Chanel number 5. And 'tis Chanel number 5, the Eau de Toilette. Now, this particular bottle, so this is a more floral, the hair, really. This is a more floral accord of Chanel number 5. Now, Chanel number 5, Parfum, is a little bit more abstract in its snowy smell. This is just divine, especially in May, because it's so floral. Of course, the aldehydes in here are amazing. But it's the floral accord for me. Gets me every time. It's almost like a chalky, white, creamy, balmy floral accord. Aldehydes, 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 but it is also powdery. It is refreshing. It is invigorating. It is very, very energetic and energizing. And I personally adore this particular bottle. As you can see at the bottom here, it says recharge or refill 50 ml. And it is a glass bottle with its own stopper. Now, I did make a video about this particular refill for the Chanel number 5 50 ml bottle with a, great sprayer. So you're supposed to actually put this inside of a metallic container, like to refill as a recharge for the 50 ml refill. But a little secret tip for the fashion insider. So when I was working the fashion world, fashion weeks in Paris and in Milan, this is the secret tip, because price-wise, of course, it's the most affordable one, right? Because it's a refill, you don't have to buy the external. And it's the external not the cartridge, the external container in lacquered metal with plastic and the golden ring around it, blah, blah, blah. This thing, first of all, because it has its own stopper, it's great. It's very slim, fits in any bag. It is bigger than the 20 ml twist and spray, which you also know. I mean, 20 ml doesn't last you a long time, especially because this one, it's the longevity for me. It's not the best longevity. I mean, this it's reflecting the green from the green screen, you guys. So it keeps becoming transparent, super freaky. You keep reapplying, you keep respraying, but it's relatively light because this glass is thinner. It's still thick enough to not break in the bag. As you can see, the thickness of the glass at the bottom, it's a very sturdy glass, and it has the classic shape of a Chanel bottle with the slightly curved sides here, reminiscent of the Les Exclusives fragrances that we see nowadays. And it is just practical to throw into the purse and to run around. So I love this one for on the go, 50 ml refill. Now, of course, if Chanel is listening, they're probably going to stop making this because they think, hold on a minute, we don't want anybody to get any cheaper way of blah, 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 blah. So let's be sure to make these unusable on their own without purchasing the container in which to put, you know what I mean? They always do this to us. But as long as these exist, I highly recommend them. Now, as far as the smell is concerned, first of all, great for May because it's on the go. May can be relatively hot depending where you are. So it's good to have something to freshen up a bit. But Chanel number 5 Eau de Toilette is not so, I want to say it's not too aggressive in a way, you know. Is it office friendly? To me, it is office friendly, but you know, some people are going to be irritated by the aldehydes, by the powdery accord in here. To me, it's office friendly. And to me, it's also on-the-go friendly. And since it's relatively hot outside, you want to freshen up throughout the day. It's great to spritz away as you're feeling the day. Hooray, hooray, Jose. There you go, a little ratchet rhyme for you. Oh, I love this one. So beautiful. And there's a spice and zestiness to this. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous accord. I just wish that Chanel No. 5 Eau de Toilette would get more love in general. It's not the most popular concentration of Chanel No. 5. You know, it's kind of always competing with what Chanel is pushing all the time, which is the Eau de Parfum. All the gift boxes they make, it's the Eau de Parfum, and L'Eau, because it's the latest flanca. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. So, you know, take it all with a pinch of salt and thumb up the video if you're enjoying it. But, you know, and of course for the main commercials, we always see a ginormous factice bottle of the extrait or parfum of Chanel No. 5. But, you know, what is it now? $15,000 to get the giant bottle. I mean, come on. So, of the extrait. But they never really promote Eau Première, and they never promote Eau de Toilette. Such a pity, because this to me, after the extrait, this is my number 2. My number 5, number 2. Love this one to bits. Sometimes I layer them. I spray this one all over the body, and then I just, like in some strategic spots, add a couple of drops of the extrait of Chanel No. 5, and boy, oh boy, magic. But in May, or for the month of May, the Eau de Toilette is the way to go for me personally. Now, this is an abstraction of May, so you can see already, oh, look at that yellow juice. And right there as well. Very Chanel No. 5 Eau de Toilette, isn't it? You know, May, it's kind of, it's spring, but it can get really, really hot already, especially towards the end of May. So, you know, it's giving summer already. Northern Hemisphere, at least. And it's good to freshen up and combat that steam and that heat. And sometimes you just want a dry smell. You want that ashtray accord without it being too ashtray. A little bit more friendly, a little bit more inviting. And I am living for this one. And this would be Cristal in its newest iteration, the Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum bottle, but with a sticker for the first time ever for Cristal. Cristal gets its own sticker in a bottle, and Cristal gets repackaged inside of the classic Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum spray bottle, which we've also seen utilized for Chanel No. 19, Eau de Parfum for Coco Noir, Eau de Parfum, and for COCO Eau de Parfum. So you could say that Cristal has received a kind of a revamping and a repackaging. And yes, it was beautiful because it had its own bottle, but I am not angry at this revisitation or reimagination of Cristal Eau de Parfum. It kind of validates it even more. You know, for the longest time, it was kind of discontinued. I mean, supply chains were weakened in some countries. Well, actually, you still can't get the Eau de Parfum in America. It's still discontinued in America. You can get the Eau de Toilette of Cristal, and you can also get Eau Verte, which now, Eau Verte used to be Eau de Toilette Concentré. They have reformulated it. Now they call it Eau Verte Eau de Parfum. But Cristal Eau de Parfum, as of now, it's not available in the States. It is available in Europe and some other countries, possibly, maybe also Australia, not so sure. But it is still in production, and thankfully, it is in production. In fact, the fact that Chanel has given it the treatment of the Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum bottle almost kind of like legitimizes it and makes it that classic Chanel perfume. And once it gets this bottle, it's like not going to be so easy to discontinue it. You know what I mean? It's almost like Chanel said, no, this is one of our classics. We're not touching it. Now, has it been reformulated? Yes, you can check out my review of the new bottled Cristal Eau de Parfum. Of course, it's just my opinion. that it's been reformulated. If you ask, Chanel co-workers, they're going to tell you, no, it's the same formula as always. But me having a ton of older bottles of the older batches of the original packaging of the eau de parfum, first packaging and then all the repackagings, this one does smell different, but I love it. Let's layer it with Chanel number 5. Oh my God. Oh. It's so good. Oh, this is so good. And it has that citrusy, zesty, fresh aldehydic accord. It's so beautiful in May. Refreshing, invigorating, dry, sophisticated. It's giving me Dallas vibes, the TV show Dallas, not current day Dallas. It's giving me Sue Ellen before she starts guzzling vibes, the sophistication, the gorgeous nail polish, the shoulder pads. The coiffed hair. I mean, you guys, this is the best of Chanel. I mean, I'm not joking. Like, you have to get your hands on Cristal, whether it be the eau de toilette, the eau de parfum. I have one of the first batch codes of the new bottles made, 9101. They're etched at the bottom there. Well, it's really, really hard to see. It's right down there. Oh, there you go. It's like kind of lasered in there. So it's really hard to see. But anyway, 9101. You guys. This is what kind of dreamy perfumes are made of. It's a crystal. Oh, look at that. Crystal. You see what in the background? I prompted Bubbles I gave Bubbles all the words of all of the perfumes that I've selected for May. And I said, mesh them up. Give me an abstraction of these 5 names, keywords. And this is the background that came out. I mean, it's divine. It's just really, really gorgeous. I actually saved this background just like for myself. This is my abstract Chanel May perfume background. And crystal is all around it. So if you want to have that milky, crystalline, dry, beautiful, airy, breezy vibe and accord, the new Cristal Eau de Parfum is your baby. Seriously, they've made it much more user-friendly than the predecessor. It's greener, it's crispier, it's more effervescent, it's fun, it's youthful, but in a vintage way. It's just so beautiful. I mean, this thing is better than any current brand new release on the mass market in perfumery. My humble opinion, it's just gorgeous. Just like John Galliano nailed it with his latest, well, it depends when you watch this video, but with his Margiela collection, with a kind of, the vampire vibe underneath the bridges in Paris and the river running beside them and everybody's kind of falling apart and body parts and that kind of darkness and vibe, and Pat McGrath's, porcelain doll makeup, but glossy. Everybody went crazy for it. It went viral. Like, he struck a chord, a nerve with the times, even though the fashion show depicted something from the past, it still was so now, energy-wise. Same with Cristal. It's depicting the past, but it really nails the times we live in. I think this is such an underestimated perfume. You guys, give it a try in May. You will not be disappointed. This thing is pure sophistication. It's pure effervescent love. This is kind of afternoon vibes. Don't spray this on an empty stomach because it's very citrusy. It's going to make you hungry. It's going to give you, stomach cramps if you're hungry. Eat first, then apply Cristal. My number 3 is, well, the latest release from the house. It's a Les Exclusives fragrance. And believe it or not, it's included in here in a very special way because it's very space, cosmos, universe, and very much, look at these little round pearls and comets. Here's another one, comets. And all of this is kind of galaxy stars, the Milky Way, the Chanel Way. Of course, we had to have Comete in our selection for the month of May. What can I tell you about this one? I have reviewed it. It's, this one tears people apart. Like, either people are really disappointed by it or people really love it. My first review of Comete is also first impressions. You can check that out on my channel. People have been asking me, Dacob, do you actually not like the perfume? Because the way you're describing it, you're very kind of, you're not kind of all over the place. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Well, this is because it's a brand new perfume. And when I did my first impressions review, that was like literally 2 days after having it, right? So it was very exciting for me to test it out and do the first impressions. But as time passes, I get to know it more, and then you get the real in-depth review. And boy, oh boy, this one, there's a lot to say about Comete that hasn't been said in my first review. And these are mysteries and secrets that this perfume keeps kind of sharing with me as time goes by. And really, it keeps surprising me. So it's a fragrance that people say, oh, it's so boring, it's very flat. The iris at a certain point comes on and just stays there. That cherry blossom, shampooy, almondy accord in the opening is very lame. The musks in the dry down aren't powerful enough. There's a lot of stuff that people are saying that they're not liking about it. To me, it's wonderful. It's a Chanel version of an abstraction of a cherry blossom. It's something that we did not have in the Les Exclusives range. It is very, very, very complex. It's not a simple perfume at all. Let's layer it. Just one spray is enough. This one is strong. The aldehydes, the memory, it's something that I love with Chanel Les Exclusives fragrances. They kind of hint at all the predecessors, There's 1932 in there. There's 1957 with the musks in there. There's Bel Respiro. There's also some Cristal, which, well, Cristal is not Les Exclusives, but the quality of Les Exclusives is there. It's such a vibrant accord, beautiful for the month of May, because it's giving very, very, very zesty, high-end, top-notch quality vibes. The ingredients are just stellar, like comets dashing through the sky. And yet, it has a beautiful, grounded element to it as well. The iris, the heliotrope above all. Now, the heliotrope is a very particular ingredient. It smells like vanilla. It's sweet, ambrosial in a way, and heliotrope is a purple little tiny flower with beautiful, thick, meaty green leaves surrounding it. And there's a lot of mythology surrounding the heliotrope. Interesting how the heliotrope is at the heart of this fragrance. In fact, I want to say more than that almondy cherry blossom accord, and more than the iris even. It's the heliotrope for me that bedazzles this fragrance and renders it so mythological, because, in my main review of Comete, there is a big explanation about heliotrope. But in short, it is connected to several different mythologies, whether it be Greek or Roman. And, well, the heliotrope follows the sun. You see, so it kind of like looks up into the sky, and as the sun, as the earth is turning and the sun kind of shifts throughout the day, the flower kind of keeps turning towards the sun, right? And it's almost as if the sun is the comet and the flower follows that comet. But in this case, there's this relationship, this connection between the comet and the earth. It's kind of like the divine and the earth and the earthly. So both combined create this splash and effervescence of these two worlds. So, I mean, I'm telling you, you know, you could decide to just sniff out that almond accord that resembles cherry blossom in an abstract way, like a lot of perfumers do. Or you can go deeper and really sniff out the quality of the ingredients in this thing. It's really amazing. So why is it so good in May? Well, first of all, we didn't have the opportunity to use it earlier. I mean, in April, yes, but I've already done my April tops before I purchased this one. So it's kind of like too late to the game. Otherwise, it probably would have been my top April Chanel as well. But it's hopeful. And that's why I love this in May. You know, May is a hopeful month as well. There's like a beauty in the air. Summer is about to approach. Sunny days. You know, we're having, you know, just good energy, good vibes in general. It's a beautiful time to be alive, May, really. So, and this perfume, I don't know, it enhances the mood, to me at least. You know, it enhances the vibe, it enhances hope, it enhances happiness. But it's sophisticated. The aldehydes in here, it has the Chanel DNA all over it. You know, it's, I understand why. I understand how this is a challenge. Like, really, Chanel doing cherry blossom? Oof, we'll go. But it worked. And now we ticked it off the list, you know, and it can't get any worse. Although this turned out really well. But you know what I mean? Like, there's no other ingredients out there that are like so, I don't know, difficult as cherry blossom. Like, what other, you know, like for me, if you would have asked me 4 years ago after Le Lion de Chanel was released, like, hey, so we're working on the new Les Exclusives perfume. Like, is there one ingredient you don't want there to be in this perfume? My first response would be, I don't want cherry blossom. Like that would have been the first, like that would have been the thing I would say, like, run away from it, like from the plague. And yet here we are. And like Olivier Polge ticked it off the list, the bucket list, and the next Les Exclusives, we're done. We're not going to do cherry blossom anymore, you know? So it almost smells like a challenge. Like he was like trying to say, like, can I elevate the concept of cherry blossom, which is usually associated with cheap smelling shampoo-y fragrances? Can I make out of it something exceptional? Yes, he can. And he did. And so, you know, it's almost like this was his personal little ego trip challenge to be able to say, I did it, you know, good for me. Look how good you know what I mean? It's giving me those vibes. And then he moved on to something else and he's going to be working on other perfumes, but he nailed it. He nailed it. I don't know of any cherry blossom based fragrance, right? Conceptually speaking, that is as good as this thing, as sophisticated and rich smelling as this thing. And then, of course, when it dries down, the heliotrope and the iris merge and marry and create kids, and they're zesty little kids, and that would be the musk. It's just beautiful. Very, very fun and playful perfume. Really, really playful, but also sensual, especially in the evening. Beautiful, beautiful, you know. If it's really warm in the evening, you're having dinner with a person you love and you have a little décolleté moment and you put a little bit of, you know, that kind of glittery, sparkly, bronzy oil on your skin just to let that light from the moon and the stars kind of reflect off your skin, and then you spray a little bit of Comete. It's just beautiful. And I do prefer to call it Comete rather than Comete, because I think Comete, I'm sorry, French peeps, I know you gave it the name, but it just sounds so vulgar to me. Yes, I know. Not everything French is the most elegant and elevated in the world. You can still make decisions and choose pronunciations that sound a little bit better in different ways. Be open. Be open to it, French peeps. Be open. You might just be very, very pleasantly surprised. You know. Moving on. The next one, we had to have an extrait in this list. You know, I support the Chanel extraits and they're discontinuing more and more of them, so it's really, really saddening. But I love this one so much, and it's getting harder and harder to get in the spray form. Here you have it. It's not a lippy. It is COCO Mademoiselle Parfum. I don't know if you can really see here. It's upside down. It is a 7.5 ml Parfum of COCO. And this one, even though it is refillable, they don't sell it as a refillable. You have to buy the full thing, and it's a beautiful metal lacquer in pearlescent finish. What can I tell you? Our early 2000s Y2K era, sweet, truly, goddess, Coco Mademoiselle. I have a couple of drops left. I do have a backup bottle, but as you can see, teeny tiny, only a little bit left. Boy, how much I love this one. So elegant, so sophisticated. I use it sparingly, to be honest with you, because, I mean, it is quite powerful. And yes, this is my favorite concentration of Coco Mademoiselle, the Parfum. But it's such a beautiful patchouli-based fragrance with a floral accord at the top, and then, of course, the aldehydes. And then I often say when we talk about Coco Mademoiselle, I say, you know, for the longest time, it's been that Y2K fruit chuli concoction, one of the perfumes that started the whole fruit chuli movement. And for the longest time, it's been like kind of like, yeah, the exponent of that and very associated to that time. But Chanel has been keeping at it, producing this one, making flankers. You know, there's Coco Mademoiselle Eau de Parfum Intense. There's Coco Mademoiselle L'Eau. There's Coco Mademoiselle Eau de Toilette, which is not a flanker, but another concentration. Coco Mademoiselle Eau de Parfum. You see what I mean? And they also had a solid perfume version at a certain point, you know, like a waxy one. So there's a lot of different iterations of this one. They keep at it. They keep making and updating their advertisements for Coco Mademoiselle. So all this to say what? That in my humble opinion, Coco Mademoiselle has become in its own right a classic Chanel perfume. It has exited that realm of smelling like the early 2000s. It has exited that realm of smelling like one of those, you know, dated Chanel perfumes that are very much segregated in the epoch in which they were made. And so olfactively, we associate them with a specific time in history, with specific memories in history. And sometimes a perfume just manages to break through that and become its own thing, become a classic. It breaks through that wall of time limitation and becomes its own classic. And Coco Mademoiselle, for me at least, has broken that barrier of segregation in time. It's not a Y2K smell to me anymore. Isn't that funny? I don't sniff out, I don't smell the Y2K vibe in it anymore. A couple of years ago, I still did. Now, I smell Coco Mademoiselle and I smell a classic Chanel perfume. And it's such a beautiful feeling to experience a product made by humans that all of a sudden it just clicks. It's like a gear or something just switches and all of a sudden the perception of it becomes timeless. I was not born in the time when Chanel No. 5 switched from being a 20s fragrance, and then in the reality of the times, probably Marilyn Monroe's era, maybe a little bit earlier. I think roundabout Marilyn's statement when she said she only wears a couple of drops of Chanel No. 5 to bed. That's when Chanel No. 5 switched and became timeless. But then again, also COCO giving out, you know, free samples, bottles of Chanel No. 5 to the American soldiers after the liberation of Paris. That's also something that gave it an iconic status. Still very segregated to its time. And now we only hear stories about when potentially the fragrance switched and became timeless. But you see, with Coco Mademoiselle, some of us, not all of us, some of us have been alive when this one was launched. And then we have lived through the times when this one was perceived to be a little bit, you know, dated, very early 2000s. And then it's amazing to have lived in a time when this perception just shifted on its own. Nothing major happened for Coco Mademoiselle. You know, there was no Marilyn Monroe saying, oh, I just wear 3 drops of Coco Mademoiselle before I go to bed. nothing particular happened except for Chanel's determination to keep promoting this perfume, to keep making ad campaigns for this perfume, and, you know, giving it love and investing a lot of money to keep awareness of this perfume alive. And here we are, all of a sudden, I want to say around about 3 years ago, it just clicked for me. I have my bottles since many years and I sniff on them from time to time. And then around about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago to 3 years ago, in one of my re-smelling binges of my collection, I just picked it up, smelled it, and I just went, oh, hold on a minute. This is no more a Y2K perfume. This is a classic Chanel perfume. Oh, I get goosebumps. It just, when something, you know, has deserved it. You know, we talk about this also in film, when the plot line, certain development of characters and how they connect to each other, sometimes you say, well, the plot line doesn't seem to be earned. Like a shift in character development was just too abrupt, too quick, and it doesn't feel earned. You know, the writers just push something onto you because they got to keep the narrative moving along and let's get the movie to the end. And that's a bad movie. Now, a good movie is when the character development flows, the storyline flows, and everything at the end of the movie felt earned. Every new development, every new shift and turn and moment felt earned, right? Well, time and perfumes. Chanel kept at it with their good quality. They kept producing really high quality, you know. They did not water it down in any way, shape, or form. The extrait is still magical, given the limitations that they had to go through with, you know, IFRA and so on. But it was earned. After so many years have passed, one morning, 2.5 to 3 years ago, I smelled it and I was like, okay, Coco Mademoiselle, you have officially earned your space and your place in the Chanel Olympus of classic Chanel perfumes. Such a joyous occasion. So happy for this one. Such a beauty. Chanel, please keep making the spray version of the parfum. It is gorgeous. Period. There you go. So again, a hopeful perfume, beautiful floral aldehydic patchouli, fruity patchouli for May. And that's why we have all these pinky hues and also this kind of cooler tone and all these like pinky purpley hues. That is all because of this pearlescent. Believe it or not, you can't really see very well because of the strong lights here, but this lacquered finish on top of the metal lid and container has a lilac-y pearlescence to it, which of course is super hard to see, but it's there. So focus, thank you. So there you go. Thumb up the video while you're focusing. Oh man, let me smell it again. Beautiful. Look at my cosmical universe, the Chanel May perfume universe, the perfume verse. I just want to live in here forever. But alas, we have one more to go, and then the party's over, as they say. And boy, oh boy, do I love this one. Such a smooth operator. Smooth operator. Let me tell you. See all this smooth, creamy vibe that almost looks, especially in here in this area, it looks like a woven texture. A woven texture. What could it be? Could it be a cashmere or a wool jersey? Yes, it could. And it is. This is my number 5, you guys. Jersey. I have the Eau de Toilette here, the long discontinued Eau de Toilette. I have several bottles of the Eau de Toilette. I have stocked up on it, as I heard back in 2016 that they were going to discontinue them. Get yourself the extrait as well if you can before it's gone. Yes, they make the extrait in 15 mil. The best lavender concentration I've ever smelled in my life. The closest to the pure thing. It's just on another level. I just purchased artificial lavender, the flower, because anyway, there's something to be said for and against buying plastic flowers, but I purchased, it's kind of flocked, looks just like the real deal, really, really good quality imitation lavender plant. I sprayed Jersey all over it. It's been days now. Days. Every time I pass by, it's in a vase, it's a bunch, it's like a bouquet of lavender. I pass by it, I get a whiff, because the flocked nature of the lavender of this plastic plant that I bought, the fluffy flocked bits, they really maintain and absorb the essential oils of the perfume. Every time I pass by it, I get a whiff of Jersey and I go, oh my God, this thing is amazing. So soothing, cooling, and yet it keeps you warm, just like Chanel's Jersey. So the original Jersey fabric, nowadays, Jersey can be made also out of synthetics, acrylics. Back in the day, COCO's Jersey was cashmere. Wool as well, but mostly cashmere. And really, really, she elevated Jersey, which was utilized for undergarments. She elevated Jersey to an upper garment and outerwear garment, turned it into luxury, really. And this perfume, it's a warm cashmere Jersey embrace, but it's also cooling. Nothing like cashmere on your skin to keep you cool in summer and warm in winter. So Jersey really knows its place in history and in society. It's never overbearing, never overpowering, but always incredibly soft, incredibly alluring, incredibly inviting, comforting, soothing. I spray this one to go to bed. That's why it's also the last one on this list, because this is kind of one of those perfumes. This is the last thing I smell before I go to sleep in May. I spray this on to go to bed. It's that relaxing. I can sleep. I'm more at peace when I wear Jersey, believe it or not. It lulls me to sleep and it takes me to this wonderful place, dreaming of the Chanel galaxies and all of this this is kind of like a dream landscape at the end of the day. And just like that, we realize what this was this whole time. It was a dreamy Chanel landscape. This is kind of like, this is how high I get when I smell Chanel perfumes. Like I go into this world and I'm just like floating in ecstasy. Like this is how good Chanel perfumes are, you guys. And this is why I also keep making these top 5 Chanel perfumes of the month, just to remind everybody of how beautiful they are. Because to me, I've smelled a lot of perfumes in my life and I keep smelling them. I always go back to Chanel because, some people say, oh, Chanel perfumes are a little bit too classical, too, old school. Don't listen to them. That's crap. Whoever tells you that, they really don't know much about perfumes. The quality of Chanel fragrance, it's on another level. Like if you started your own company, making perfumes, sure, you could try to imitate some of them, but you can't get the raw materials of that high quality, because Chanel has access to these. Also, they also have their own factories, and factories that they've purchased or that they work together with exclusively, where they make their own tinctures. I mean, we're talking, you cannot get the access to certain ingredients that they have access to. Even if you wanted to, you just can't. And the delicate, subtle complexity of Chanel perfumes it's just, you have to have a certain sensitivity and sensibility to feel them, to go there. And once you get there, there's no going back, because nothing else is as good, really. Well, let me know your thoughts down below. What are your top Chanels for the month of May? And if you like this video, thumb it up. And until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you loads. Take care. Bye.